Welcome to the Black Women Talk Tech podcast. I'm your host, Chelsey Lowe. Each episode features conversations with a Black woman founder building an innovative technology company. Black Women Talk Tech is a collective that identifies, supports, and encourages Black women to build the next billion-dollar business. So today on the podcast, I have Diamonde Williamson. Diamonde, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So can you tell the audience a little bit about your background and the business that you founded?
Yes, so I'm a creative producer, and I focus on creating authentic, realistic, and comedic content for women of color. And I do that on television and digitally. And so I have a video production company called The Majority Women, but I am the founder of Blossom. It's a video on demand, over the top platform for women of color.
And can you tell us a little bit more about Blossom and what was the problem that you were trying to solve when you created the platform?
For myself, really, to create content outside of YouTube. But then as I started sharing the idea with people, people started saying, oh yeah, maybe I could put my content on there. And then, the idea developed into this idea kind of like a Black Netflix, but specifically for Black and Latino women so that they could have their content on the platform. So they didn't have to just put their docuseries, web series, talk shows, etc. on YouTube. They could put it on a space where they could find their audience directly.
And then why did you think you were the best person to start this platform? Can you share more about your experience in production and in media?
Yeah, so two reasons. I created a YouTube channel 7 years ago. So I feel like I was on YouTube, not the earliest, but I was on there creating videos, editing my own videos, filming videos for other people. And then I ended up getting a job as a producer on actual television. So I was able to kind of combine my digital experience with my television experience and really become a professional at creating video. Not only that, I also worked with entrepreneurs to create video. So I was learning a lot about how to start a business, how to grow an audience, how to create marketing content. So I was able to kind of combine all of that, put it in the pot, and then boom, blossom. So I was able to combine my skills, all these skills that I had developed from just being an entrepreneur and working with entrepreneurs.
And was there one piece of advice you had around marketing content? Since there is, in this age of YouTube and Netflix, so much content, was there something you saw as the best strategy for getting your content out there?
Well, I thought that Blossom could be a unique marketing strategy at the time because I imagined it like this. So if there's if Stacy and Brittany and Alexis, they all have their content on different YouTube channels, then they have to point their audience in different directions. But if Stacy, Brittany, and Alexis put their content on one platform, they could push all of their audience to one space, and then all of their audience can see each other's content. So I felt like that was kind of like a unique strategy at the time, bringing all this content to one place, but it specifically served a specific demographic.
Mm-hmm. And then how did you market Blossom?
Oh yeah, I was in the beginning, I was in the streets, but I also let the content creators do the marketing, right? So if there was a content creator on the platform, she would promote that her work was on Blossom. There'd be a filmmaker who would promote that her web series was on Blossom. There'd be a content creator that would say their docuseries was on Blossom. And so people, our audience started to, help promote with us. And not only that, we would do screenings and different events that would really help people get acclimated to the brand.
And so you based Blossom in Atlanta, but you're originally from LA. What made you decide to base the business there? And I mean, when people think of media and production and film, often they think of, I guess, both cities now. Atlanta's definitely on the rise in the media scene. But can you share more about your experience in Atlanta and why you chose Atlanta?
So I'm actually from Oklahoma, honestly.
Oh, okay.
And I've only lived in LA.
Oh, okay.
I spent a lot of my professional career here in Atlanta, and I started working in digital and in TV in Atlanta. So it only made sense for me. And honestly, I was in a relationship here in Atlanta and I wanted to just go for what I know. I knew a lot of content creators here. I wasn't trying to do it in LA. And I think it worked out because, we are the Black women. We're the fastest growing demographic in terms of entrepreneurship. And then we're in Atlanta, where Black women thrive. So I think it really worked out for the best by just staying here and thugging it out.
Can you talk more about the ecosystem and other organizations that maybe supported you or you were able to lean on in that building phase?
Yeah, so there was Black Women Film Network. There was Women in Film Television Atlanta. That's WIFTA. There was this event called the Screening Room that happened every Wednesday at Negro Village. There was Damn Right Originals. They have a lot of content. The chief of content there is my friend Nakia. So she's really big on content creation. There's Tila Studios that allowed us to host events there. WeWork was very helpful. I mean, we really just went to different networking events and supported different groups and went to different screenings, right? And I think by just kind of planting ourselves here, people also started to find out about what we were doing and they started to come to us.
Great. And I know in developing quality content, there's a huge cost to that. Can you talk more about your funding model and then also your experience accessing capital?
So at the time, everything was self-funded and I was able to, find content creators, filmmakers, et cetera, early on. And, we would just kind of, create content very scrappily, very startup-y. Mm-hmm. We got a camera, somebody know how to edit, so I don't know that it was Netflix quality in the beginning, but we did our best. And the goal was just to prove that this is something that people wanted. And I think that early on, we were able to do that. Now, in terms of funding, when I was at Blossom, the last year, I spent a lot of time applying. Well, we spent a lot of time applying to different accelerators and different programs that would fund us. And we didn't get into any. We would get kind of far in the process, but we didn't get into any. So we really depended heavily on our subscription model and then the opportunity to create original content for other people.
So I'm curious, Diamond, how did you curate the type of content creators that you allowed on the platform?
So we had categories that we found women to be most interested in. So motherhood, entrepreneurship, sports, web series, docuseries, talk shows. And so as we learn more about our audience and money was a big one. So as we learn more about our audience, we try to find content, or we would look through content that would match those specific areas. And there was a time when we were creating that content. So we'd create content to match those specific areas.
And then how were you surveying your audience? I guess what data points or data collection processes were you using?
So we had, our social media. We also had the platform that we were using. And then we had our video platform. And then we also had, surveys that we would send out, event information that we would gather. We did a lot of trying to figure out what our audience liked.
And can you talk more about the build out of the platform? So did you have a background in engineering, or I guess how did you find that technical talent to build that out?
So somebody had introduced me to an engineer, somebody who could build. And then once I brought a co-founder on, she had that background.
Oh.
To be able to build and manage product development. So she worked with the engineer or the developer. She worked with the developer, and together they really came up with the technical specs and what it would look like. And they put it together. So I had no background in any of that. Mm-hmm. I just was I really thought about the creative and the content and the business development.
Mm-hmm. And then also on that side of finding content and finding creators, I know a lot of the conversation right now has been around monetizing content. Did you all think of, or did you all have any part of your platform that provided any monetization options for the content creator?
No, we weren't there. Now they may be there now, but we just weren't there.
Okay. And then can you share more about I know currently you're no longer with the company in the operation role, but can you talk more about kind of the changes in your new role and your new relationship with the company?
Yeah, so I am a silent partner. I just, I let them do their thing. They're creative, they're growing the business, and I just get to be there for support while I focus 100% on Majority Women, which is the video production company. So I really have been a content creator at heart, and I have a business background. So I get to focus on building a business around content creation, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. And that's so important that you mentioned that. And thank you so much for being honest with us and sharing. A lot of times, I feel like when people are building businesses, they're not often thinking about the exit strategy and also if this is something that they would want to do. You know, they're normally lovers of the craft, but not lovers of the business often. So do you have any other insights around kind of like exit strategies and planning for, you know, what your ultimate role is when you're building a company?
So it's interesting because like in the beginning I didn't have an exit strategy. I truly deeply in my heart of hearts wanted to be a part of Blossom's exit when it did happen. However, I think that it was divine timing in the universe that was like, yeah, girl, like you gotta go and make room for somebody who actually wants to lead this and has the capacity and knowledge to be able to do it. So I think what's important for all founders is to understand all sides of the business, to understand how to lead, to understand what it looks like to grow, and to then figure out like, what is it that you really want to do? Because what I've noticed is there's a lot of entrepreneurs that create businesses to solve a problem for themselves, right? But when I tried to start to solve the problem for other people, it became a challenge. When it's like, it's a lot easier for me to just solve this problem for myself and move forward instead of trying to make a business out of it, because there's a lot that comes with that. So I think, oftentimes in our entrepreneurial journey, we should take a step back and look at the business from an outsider's point of view and really think about, okay, is this something that I want to do? Do I really want to be here? And then not be afraid to leave if the answer is no.
Exactly. So can you share more about Majority Women? So this new company, or just you continuing the work that you already were doing?
Yeah. So, throughout my time really as a television producer and as a digital producer, I've always created content for people. So about 2 years ago, while I was at Blossom, we actually started the production company because people were reaching out and saying, hey, can you produce content for us? Or can we do, we love your original content. So can you do this? And so the business started about 2 years ago. But now, since I am now just a silent partner at Blossom, I get to 100% focus on creating docuseries and web series and talk shows and commercials and social media promos for entrepreneurs. I mean, or for, anybody, Fortune 500s, chambers, nonprofits, etc. And I love that because I still have this opportunity to provide women of color an opportunity to produce content while earning money. And I get to do the same thing, produce content, earn money, and grow a business that I love. Like I can do a singular thing instead of being a CEO of, like a whole company that requires a lot of different things to focus on. I get to just focus on growing this one business, and I love it. I love it because managing employees is not an easy thing to do. And at Majority Women, it's small. So I get to start over and really figure out, really start to do things differently. And then also just focus on the one thing that I love, like I said, which is creating content. Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's so great. So can you share more about your production background? I can't leave our conversation without mentioning your time at OWN and your work there. So could you share a little bit more about your experience?
Yeah, so I started working with entrepreneurs like Maddie James. She's a blogger, and Patrice Washington. She's a speaker. And then I got into television. I worked on Chrisley Knows Best, which is on USA. I did a pilot for VH1. I worked for WeTV, TV1. And then most recently, the last 2 seasons of shows I've done is Iyanla Fix My Life. And I love that too, because in my heart of hearts, I mean, I just love like self-care and self-help. And Miss Iyanla Van Zant is just everything you see on TV and in her books.
Oh, she's the real deal?
She's the real deal. And she is funny and she's comedic and she's like, a real human being, like with that is so passionate about her purpose and her ministry, that every day I get to, again, do what I love, but I get to learn something about myself. I get to restore people's belief in humanity. And like, I just feel so grateful for that. So I get to go home and then bring that work to majority women. So my TV background, I love, and like, I want to do TV forever. But I miss working for Young to Fix My Life has been my absolute favorite thing.
Well, I know that's a great client for yours. Do you have any other dream clients that you would want to work for majority women?
Yes, like I would love to work with Netflix and Hulu, and I mean Black Women Talk Tech if you all need video content. Blavity, OprahMag.com. Yes, I would love to work with OprahMag.com and Refinery 29. Those are a few of the people that I would love to work with.
Oh, great. And thanks for mentioning the Black Women Talk Tech. So we have our upcoming conference at the end of February, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about your experience because you were attending and a speaker last year, I believe. Can you share more about your experience?
I wasn't a speaker, but I attended, and
okay.
I had the best time. So unfortunately, I could only come for a day because the storm was coming, and we had to get out of there. But I mean, it was so good. I was so happy I got to see Mr. Dennis from Essence. That was great. I mean, just being in the Microsoft space. It was just like Black Girl Magic. I met this girl named Laura Mignon. I think it's Laura Mignon. And she just the people that were in the room. People that were in the room is so special. And the founders of Black Women Talk Tech are just so loving and caring and very passionate. And when I left that room, I really felt like I could be a billionaire startup founder.
Amazing. Well, we're excited to learn more about what you built next. Do you have any other, I guess, words of encouragement or advice for other Black women tech founders?
Yes, take your time. Make sure that you do what you love to do while also learning the business. Spend time on becoming a better leader. Spend time on becoming a better person. Because one of the things that I was doing was like reading a lot of business books, but I wasn't taking care of Diamond. So I was a great businesswoman, but not a great leader. And I think that those are like, in hindsight, those are things that I now focus on. How do I become a better leader? How do I become a better businesswoman? How do I become a better person? And maybe go to therapy too. You know, it's not easy like being a startup founder.
Yes, I can imagine. We all could use it though. We all could definitely use it.
Yes, so thank you. I appreciate this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Chelsey Lowe. More resources for Black women tech founders are available at blackwomentalktech.com. This podcast was produced by the Enterprise Center's The Grit Studios. Links to resources mentioned are available in the show notes below. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Catch you next time on the Black Women Talk Tech podcast.